This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity Podcast, the Becker Business Minute. These are 10 stories that we're following this morning, and thank you for listening. They tell a story about things we're watching in the business environment. First, the markets were way up last week, on Friday at least. They jumped on Friday, the most they've jumped in a little bit, based really on news that the Fed is starting to set the course for lower rate hikes. Second, year to date, the Nasdaq is up 7.25%. The S&P is up nearly 4%. The Dow is up 0.72%. Third, the markets this morning are mixed. We'll see how they turn out today. Fourth, the one-year Treasury yield still remains close to 4.7%. The two-year Treasury yield has fallen closer to a little bit less than 4.2%. And the 10-year opens right about 3.48% this morning. Fourth, Tesla is up nearly 25% so far this year. Tesla's price cuts are putting pressure on rivals. I guess the story today is never underestimate Elon Musk, and great fun to watch. Sixth, Elliot Management is taking a multi-billion-dollar stake in Salesforce. We've got two separate podcasts on Salesforce today. Salesforce is down about 50% from 2 years ago when it had a $300 billion valuation. Now about $150 billion valuation. The thing about Elliot Management, no one likes when they show up at the door as an investor. But this is the other thing about Mark Benioff, like Elon Musk. I never underestimate Mark Benioff and what he has created at Salesforce in his own energy. So we'll see how that goes. Again, Wall Street Journal story this morning, story over the web. Elliot Management takes a big stake in Salesforce. That's sort of like a bad weather day if you're in the business when Elliot Management shows up. But don't underestimate Mark Benioff. Seventh, Bitcoin has jumped up to nearly 23,000. It's up nearly 35 to 40% year to date. What a surprising jump after all these Bitcoin exchanges and other things sort of really were in trouble. Eighth, the new Avatar film has booked in so far right about $2 billion overall. It's a near record box office haul. It's sixth overall of all films. It's still got plenty of room to grow. $2 billion so far. Ninth, a separate podcast that combines the Avatar story and the need as a company, as a firm, as a business, as an individual. You got to be great at something. Listen to that podcast and the Becker Business Minute. 10th story is something that you see constantly, this ridiculousness of politicians and the impacts of their efforts. The story is super rich New Yorkers, including Carl Icahn, are fleeing the Big Apple in droves. These are the top 3 states that are escaping too. This is a story in MoneyWise. They're going to Florida, Texas, and Arizona. This is really the story of tax policy sounding good to the masses, but being a disaster for states. You raise taxes high on the wealthier people, they move to other states. And so and then in the long run, the people that weren't supposed to be paying higher taxes have to pay higher taxes because they've increased spending based on expectation of greater revenues. Those revenues don't show up when these people leave, and the state ends up in trouble. So again, great story about it in MoneyWise today, how more and more people are leaving the high-tax states and the big beneficiaries of the low-tax states. Thank you for listening to the Becker Business Minute, the Becker Private Equity Podcast. Thank you very much.